There are two things about building an NFT community that most people will never tell you, but you are going to be ahead of the game after this.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Whether you're listening or watching, we are so thankful for your support. So here we go. Some of the best intentions of creators still fall short because of one main problem, and that is not taking the time to consider how you are going to build a long-standing community. There's also some creators who are trying to get into Web3, and then there's some creators who had to get into Web3 after that thing that's been going around for a couple years wiped them out of their business. Luckily, we had someone who took the time to send us a video about their exact struggles, how they overcame them, and how they intentionally built a fantastic community for their NFT project. So the person I'm talking about in today's episode is a gentleman named Drew Weatherhead, who had a jiu-jitsu studio that he had to shut down. I mean, he was rocking and rolling, but he had to stop all his classes, and it completely cut out his income stream.
Luckily, he had spent years online building a thriving community around martial arts memes. Yes, that's a thing. And after learning about NFTs, he thought that this might be an obvious solution to the problem. Could he still run his business, serve his community, all through this new tech? We connected on IG a couple of weeks back, and he shared two fascinating things with me that I knew we had to share with the Newbie fam. The first one being something that most people do not understand that they will have to do in order to build a community.
So I had an NFT project called Ape Shakaz that I pitched out to all of my followers on my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu meme page, Because Jitsu, and I took about a full month to fully explain this upcoming project to my followers and to get them excited and get them sort of educated in the space, because it's such a new burgeoning space to try to get people to invest into, especially when it's hard to understand how to do that, what type of cryptocurrency you need, the wallets involved, all the process, the whole thing. So if you're making your own NFT collection, you're now the professor. So that's something you need to prepare yourself with some due diligence, do all the research you can. The community building itself is the most important part of NFTs. Like, community just is everything. It's more important than the art. It's more important than even the utility, which I would say is a close second, but community is over everything. So there's this misconception that happens when it comes to you have to have a massive Discord or you have to have a massive social following. I'll admit that I got a pretty big social following. I've got 172,000 people following my meme page on Instagram. I've got another 26,000 following on my personal Instagram. I've got 50,000 on Facebook. But here's the interesting thing. For my entire collection, which was 420 NFTs, to sell them out, I only needed 243 investors. Less than 250 people sold out my entire collection in about a week. So don't feel like you're going to need thousands and thousands and thousands of people in your Discord. You need an engaged Discord who's excited about the project, who knows you as a creator. It's really important that you're active in there yourself. So you should treat your upcoming investors as what type of project you would want to invest in if it was your crypto that you were putting into it.
So check it out. My first response to watching this, I thought, Drew's way ahead of many NFT projects. And the funny thing is that he was actually in a position where he was completely vulnerable. Like, if you are a business owner, you're always kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? And it dropped for him. But instead of looking at like, how am I going to like quick fix this? He understood exactly what it was going to take by spending all that time educating. Like, when he said the professor line, I was like, holy shit. Yeah. Like, this dude gets it. Like, you have to educate people on what you're doing, why it's important, how they could get involved, and not just kind of anticipate that the totality of your following is actually going to be interested. But he actually did not look for the quick fix. He knew it had to be long-term, and he started with education. I'm like, so all about that.
I didn't tell you this, and I didn't tell Drew this. This is something behind the scenes that happened that nobody knows about except for me. I've gotten so many DMs after Drew's live that we did from his community saying, Heather, what Drew was saying was true. He spent so much time one-on-one with me, helping me set up a wallet, educating me on like cryptocurrency cryptocurrency, how to get involved or whatever, like one-on-one his own time, like in DMs with people. And his community was like doing his marketing for him, talking about what a
Yes.
great human he was and how much they support and love him, which I just thought spoke volumes because he's practicing what he's preaching here.
Yeah, I mean, like if you can create a community of evangelists and ambassadors, I mean, you're going to be gold.
Absolutely. The other thing that he mentioned was just the whole misconception with we have to have 1 million people following me in huge numbers for this to be a successful project. I think we're delusioned as creators and investors when we see huge numbers. We associate that with value, and that's not always the case. It's not always about numbers. It's about conversion and engagement, and we're going to be digging into that more over the next several weeks as we learn more about the business side of NFTs, but we're looking at conversion. He had hundreds of thousands of people following him, but he only had a few hundred who actually bought into the project, and honestly, that's all he needed.
That's not all, though. A lot of the creators and small business owners who have reached out to us and who want to start NFT projects have been met with something that we actually didn't anticipate.
One more thing I want to talk about along those lines, though, is don't be afraid to get some backlash from people that don't get it. Because this is just, it's prevalent throughout the entire industry right now that most people don't understand it. And there's a lot of people that get hostile about that, and you're going to get maybe called some names. You might get them asking if you're a fraudster, or if, making implications that you're doing this as a get-rich-quick scheme. I can't express enough that that is normal in this space, and it doesn't actually define you as a person. I had to go through this quite a bit for that 1 month lead up into my actual launch and sale of my collection. If you're doing this as a get-rich-quick scheme, it won't work. It's going to fail because people will see through you. You have to be true to yourself, be true to your cause, and that will shine through and will help hyper energize the community itself anyways. One last thing I want to talk about. When we're talking about you have to do your due diligence, you have to understand how this stuff works. In the long run, it's going to be on you as the creator to make good on all of your promises, and you win once and you're going to set yourself a really nice firm foundation for future projects, as well as a community that's going to help foster that moving forward.
Expect backlash. Honestly, Rich, like I'm starting to hear that a little bit more over the past few weeks, but I never in a million years anticipated that entering into the NFT space. And it makes sense thinking about it. People have a lot of preconceived ideas about NFTs. There's a lot of stigma around them. And quite frankly, people are afraid of things they don't understand. But this has been a really real concern, not just with Drew, but we've personally met one-on-one with some business owners, and they're like, yeah, it's kind of hard sharing that we're doing NFTs now because the community either thinks we're selling out or they're upset about the environmental implications of it. And so there's a little bit of kind of like, oh god, I'm excited about my NFTs, but also too, people are giving me hell about this. Like, what do I do, right?
100%. So, I mean, like, one of the takeaways is like, you got to be true to yourself, right? Or you got to be Drew to yourself. What? Come on, Drew to yourself.
You tried. It was a really good effort.
But you got to be true to yourself, even when people are giving you shit about NFTs. And here is why. Take NFTs out of the equation. I've had clients before who don't pay me via the accounting system that I like because they have their own accounting system set up and that's how they pay people. Yep. Like that's how it benefits them the most, and that's how they're able to be a little bit more seamless in their processes, and that's internally important to them. Yep. It doesn't have to be NFTs. It could be anything associated with that business. Like if that's what's going to help them as a business owner thrive and make it a better experience for you, then of course you got to be true to yourself, right? You cannot think, oh, what's Heather going to think when I put out this NFT project? All I need to know is Heather's on board or off board, but I'm still going to take the time to try and educate her just in case she's reluctant. And if she doesn't want to take part, no problem. If she wants to take part, let's win together.
Yeah, I think it's just, for me, it's helpful hearing that this is a common thing and it's not a personal one, because I don't even know if I've shared this with you yet, Rich. I've personally had some people in my circle kind of reach out to me concerned about my new interest in NFTs and with the show and transitioning everything. And at first I kind of took it personal, like not against them, but started questioning myself, like, am I doing something wrong? But hearing that this is a very common thing that a lot of people are experiencing kind of of helped me, back to Drew's original point, put on my educator hat of being like, here's an opportunity to educate those around me about these misconceptions and so forth. It takes a lot of leadership. I mean, leadership skills to be able to do this, not only from like a deliverable perspective, but also an internal one, because you're having to deal with a lot of backlash and things maybe you've never faced before.
Can I say one thing on that? Like, dude,
Sure.
I just gotta say this. You literally just fucking put me in a time machine, because I remember when I was going to the military entry processing station, which is MEPS. It's like the final stop before you go. It's like literally where you sign the paperwork where like you're going, and you have to wear these name tags. It's like, I think it has your name, but then it also says your service in big bold letters, like the service you're going to. And there was like almost none that said U.S. Marines, and all the people who had Army and Navy on them were like, dude, are you crazy? And I was like, what am I doing? And the thing that scares you the most is probably the thing that's going to set you apart the most and help you grow the most. So, you know, like, obviously everything worked out very well. It's the best experience of my life, and I'm incredibly proud. But if you're a business owner and maybe you're looking at NFTs, or maybe you're looking at crypto, or maybe you're looking at an email list, or whatever it is, it's your win or loss to carry, not anyone else's. And I promise you, if you're anything like us, the experience is going to be valuable no matter what, because you're going to learn so much about yourself and like what you maybe should or shouldn't do, or what your community does or doesn't want. But you just got to go for it. But you just literally brought me back. It's like impossible to hold that in, because I was like, dude, what am I doing?
Yeah, that's real.
And then I was like,
that's real.
I could not be prouder of that decision.
That's real. That's real. Listen, we have one really important question that we are about to answer just in a second, but I really want to shout out Drew Weatherhead. Again, all of his links up are in the show notes. He has a podcast, Because Jiu-Jitsu podcast, also to his Ape Shakaz project. All of that will be linked in there. He's just one of those solid dudes, good vibes, you know, is
100%.
just family man doing things for the right reasons. But our very last question that you guys have been anticipating, waiting for, cannot wait to hear, comes from one of you guys, a listener. This is Andre David, who asks, if you could be present, an eyewitness of a historical moment of our civilization, what would it be and why?
For me, that would be September 2nd, 1945. That was on the USS Missouri, when formal surrender documents ending World War II, it's the surrender documents of Japan, took place. And it has nothing to do with, you know, us winning or anything like that. Like, both sides lost very, very heavily, but it is just like the formality of like, let's bring this to a close. That's historic. That's crazy. I just thinking about it gets me goosebumps. That has nothing to do with NFTs, but it's the first thing that came to mind. So that's why I said it.
Well, mine really doesn't have anything to do with NFTs, and I refuse to pick between these two. So I'm going to quickly say both of them. First of all, when Jesus was resurrected from the dead, I wanted to be there. I want to see this man alive coming out of the grave. Come on, people in the back. Jesus' resurrection, and then also Martin Luther King's speech, I Have a Dream. I love that man. True. I think he did not have to do any of the stuff that he did. He was just a pastor, had a family doing his thing, but he chose to step up and ultimately gave his life for a cause that he believed in. And that speech is freaking fire. And I wish I could be there with Jesus too. So that's
Okay, so look, guys, here's what we want to wrap with. If you are a small business owner, if you're someone who's curious about starting a business through NFTs, whatever it may be, no matter what the haters may say, or no matter what the opinions people may have, one of the best things you can do, if you didn't take away anything else, this is it. You got to educate them. Okay, you're going to have to educate people, because that familiarization is probably going to make things a little bit less intimidating. They're going to probably have an understanding. If they are someone who's been with you for a while, they're going to have an understanding that you're doing this for the better good, not to make a quick buck. So take your time, build your community, but educate first. And we will see you next time.
So after the pandemic hit, Drew Weatherhead, he had to shut down his jiu-jitsu. Did I say that right?
Jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu. He had to shut down his jiu-jitsu studio, cutting out his income stream. I say it wrong again. Jiu-jitsu.
No, J like jit.
Jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
Jiu-jitsu. After the pandemic hit, Drew Weatherhead had to shut down his jiu-jitsu.
I got it.
Please help me.
The creator we're talking about, his name is Drew Weatherford, and he had a jiu-jitsu.